Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm in Washington State, and I'm doing the Candida Cleanse because I have been suffering with symptoms of Candida overgrowth for most of my life. The first time I heard the word Candida, I was about 9 years old, and my stepmother, who's a nurse and very well versed in holistic wellness and medicine, had known me for about 2 years at the time, and during that time, she had watched me suffer with chronic allergies, sinus infections, ear infections, digestive issues, skin rashes, and she suggested to my parents that a lot of these things were due to an imbalance in the flora of my gut, a candida overgrowth that had resulted from the multiple courses of antibiotics that I was taking each year, multiple times a year, for these infections. And when my parents brought it up to my pediatrician, he was very dismissive and said that that type of systemic yeast infection was very rare and that it would present far more dramatically with vaginal yeast, with thrush, and other things of that nature. And although I've been lucky enough not to present those very severe and dramatic symptoms all at once, they have been more mild and insidious, and they have followed me into my adulthood. We just continued from that point on, through my childhood, to address my symptoms as individual issues rather than as part of a systemic whole. But of course, in hindsight now, I see that all of these symptoms have followed me my entire life. So the gastric distress and digestive issues have really run the gambit. I have had, just gas and bloating and fatigue after meals. I've had severe abdominal pain that kept me from school and work. Um, they even did an ultrasound at one point when I was in high school to see if they could find something that was causing the abdominal pain. And, eventually, when they didn't find anything, it was attributed to stress. And as I'm sure stress is certainly, of course, a factor in this candida overgrowth as well. But the digestive issues have followed me. The skin symptoms aren't the same as they were when I was a kid. I don't get the severe rashes in the creases of my fingers and toes and the like, but I have suffered from cystic acne through my 20s, which has been very difficult. Probably my least favorite, if I could pick one, of all of the symptoms that I have been dealing with. So yeah, my current symptoms, I've got cystic acne, I deal with skin irritation, I deal with digestive distress almost on a daily basis. In my 20s, I was taking hormonal birth control, and that really threw off the hormonal imbalance and made a vulnerable space for the candida. So in my 20s, I started getting vaginal yeast infections once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year. And so that's been something that I've struggled with of late as well. Leading up to this cleanse, I did get a little jump start on cleaning up my diet, and I started instituting the GAPS diet. I gave up all sugar. I gave up bread and starch. I gave up dairy. And it's been about 2 weeks, and I feel tremendously different already. I've lost a lot of weight that I think was just bloating and inflammation. I've had really tremendous sugar cravings, so I know I'm starting to feel just like ever so slightly the beginnings of a die-off because I'm starving the candida of its food source. The cravings have been intense, and what I can say about the cravings is that when I do resist them, and I have been very successful at resisting them, I've yet to cave into any of the big no-no foods. I had an apple earlier this week. But they do get less intense, and they do become less frequent as time goes on. So I've been eating clean, whole foods for 2 weeks, and I feel much better. The first week was definitely the hardest. but I'm really confident that getting a jump start on the diet and the clean eating is going to serve to be an asset for me going into this cleanse. I work really long hours, and I needed a little bit of time to relearn how to feed myself properly and really prepare to take good care of myself while I'm doing the cleanse. So the most exciting thing about this cleanse for me is just the journey to my optimum health and wellness, and I'm very excited for that. And I have to give tremendous thanks to Patty Universe for giving me this opportunity. In large part, she's the reason that I'm doing this cleanse. I found Patty online. I found her Sweet Universal Love. Patty, you've got to check that out. And I found her YouTube videos. And when I watched her series of YouTube videos on Candida Overgrowth and watched her share her story of healing, everything clicked. It brought back all of these memories for me of the conversations about Candida and my health as a child. And it was like a light bulb went on, and I realized I've got to do this. So it was really that final push I needed. It was that inspiration, and she's just been wonderful and supportive and just generous in inviting me to share my story with all of you. So I'm immensely grateful for the opportunity. I'm very excited about the cleanse. And, anecdotally, I realized just last night thinking about it, I have a dog, a sweet little French bulldog who's got skin issues and attributable to food allergies. And I've actually spent about a year going through an elimination diet process for my dog and cooking his food here in my kitchen. And it hit me all at once as I'm preparing to do this cleanse that I was giving my sweet dog this loving focus and attention on his well-being that I wasn't willing to even give myself that priority. And just it seems hysterical to me now as I go grocery shopping and I buy these whole foods and I make my bone broth. I realize, having to be as conscientious as I am now preparing for this cleanse, I realize how careless I had been up to this point in what I was feeding myself. And, if you had looked at the food that I was cooking for myself next to the food that I was cooking for my dog, you might have done a double take. And, in hindsight, I know I am. I'm like, wow, your dog was eating better than you. So I'm very excited for the opportunity. I'm very grateful to all of you for listening to my story. And I will see you in about 20 days to give you an update on how things are going. Thanks so much.